Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. We have some nice news to share today, and this has to do with the Clarity Act. So previously, we were waiting to see if this would pass before the August recess, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. However, we do have an update. So Senate Majority Leader Thune has officially filed cloture on the motion to proceed to the Clarity Act. The Senate is officially starting the process to advance the Clarity Act towards a vote, and this is huge. So we don't have to wait super long. If you were thinking that maybe this will take place in 2027, the odds of that are now lower. Yes, it's not happening before the August recess, but maybe we can still get it done this year. U.S. Senate is scheduled to vote on the Clarity Act on Tuesday, September 15th, sometime in the 2 p.m. hour. So we are looking at about 1 month and 1 week from now. All right, so that's right around the corner. If this passes, it's going to be really bullish for the general crypto market. If it doesn't pass, well, then we have to wait to see what happens next. But with XRP in particular, it's already gone through a lot of the regulation hurdles. It's in a much better position than most other cryptocurrencies. So I'm still optimistic personally on XRP, and I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. And let's go ahead and continue on with more news. This is way more interesting than Schwab buying XRP. The collateral machine is here. Today, a Charles Schwab money market filing reported XRP ETF shares being used as collateral in institutional short-term funding transactions. Yes, another money market operation. Number 2, today, First Fidelity, now Charles Schwab, same day, and once again, Canary XRP ETF shares. The Schwab filing reports approximately 159,851 Canary XRP ETF shares, $1.8 million in collateral value, 18,993 volatility shares, that's a 2x XRP ETF shares, $440,000 in collateral value, $2.29 million XRP linked ETF shares used as repo collateral. Let's make the distinction extremely clean before people F up what I am saying. And this is coming from son of a Richard over on Twitter. This does not show Schwab making a directional $2.29 million investment in XRP ETFs. It does not show Schwab buying newly created XRP. And it does not mean XRP ETFs suddenly receive the same regulatory collateral treatment as treasuries. The money market fund entered into a repurchase agreement with a repo counterparty. The economics. Schwab supplied ST cash and received XRP ETF shares as collateral, securing counterparty obligation. The counterparty may have owned, borrowed, or sourced those ETF shares from existing inventory. When Canary ETF shares are originally created, that trust acquires the corresponding XRP. But existing ETF shares can later trade, be borrowed, and be pledged as repo collateral without triggering another XRP purchase. So this filing does not prove that new XRP was purchased that day. It proves something different. XRP-linked ETF shares were assigned market value and used as collateral inside an SEC-reported institutional funding transaction. And under Rule 2A-7, cash and government securities receive special look-through treatment for money market fund diversification purposes. XRP ETF shares do not. Money market funds can still enter repo transactions collateralized by non-government securities. The fund simply treats those repo counterparty as its primary exposure rather than treating the ETF shares like treasury equivalent collateral. Critical distinction. The Fidelity filing involved Fidelity Securities Lending Cash Central Fund, a specialized market maker vehicle used within Fidelity Securities Lending Systems. It reported 126,861 Canary XRP ETF shares worth approximately $1.4 million as repo collateral. The Schwab filing is separate, different fund structure, nonetheless, another institutional operation. Same Canary XRP ETF appearing inside the collateral machinery. The progression is happening and aligning with their theory. Treasuries, tokenized treasuries, money market funds, repo, collateral mobility, institutional short-term funding. We are not at XRP as treasury equivalent collateral. We are at something earlier, but incredibly important. XRP-linked securities are now being used as valued collateral inside traditional institutional funding markets. First Fidelity, then Schwab on the same day. ETFs were never the final destination, not even close. That's the derivatives markets. It was the regulated wrapper that carried XRP exposure into the machinery. And if you recall, ladies and gentlemen, they all got approved, started during a government shutdown. Accident? I think not. Clarity. Never intended to pass this round. Iran, far from over. Oil, get ready. Carry trade, yep. And guys, you want to stay tuned for what more they have to share. They're rich over on Twitter. Breaking: China has dumped $657 billion in U.S. treasuries, now holds just $659 billion, the lowest level since 2008. Meanwhile, China's gold reserves have increased for 21 straight months, reaching a record $306 billion. China has already bought nearly twice as much gold this year as it did in all of 2025. They're exiting the system. Breaking: the Senate has begun formal floor action on the Clarity Act. Major Leader Thune filed the motion early Saturday after an overnight voting session, hours before the Senate left for summer break. And this is the furthest the bill has ever moved. The first procedural vote now comes when the Senate returns on September 14th, possibly on day 2. It needs 60 votes, which means at least 10 Democrats. That support is still in doubt over a provision banning senior officials, including Trump, from backing crypto projects. A revised version of that section has been sitting unanswered at the White House for over a week. September gives them 3 weeks before Congress leaves for the midterms. If the bill fails there, a new Congress starts in 2027, and the industry begins again from zero. Crypto is now the worst performing asset class since January of 2025. Silver is up over 100%, copper over 60%, gold at 60%, NASDAQ 38%, and Russell 31%. But you look at Bitcoin, it's down 35%, Ethereum's down 47%, altcoins are down 57%, and crypto remains the most undervalued asset so far. U.S. stocks added $2.5 trillion in market cap this week, which is really good news. This is absolutely massive for crypto. Russell 2000 just had its highest weekly close ever in history, while the U.S. market added $2.8 trillion. This is bullish for Ethereum and altcoins because historically they followed Russell in 2017 and 2021 bull run. The money rotation has officially started and will reach Bitcoin and crypto soon. Hopefully. Canary XRP ETF just filed its second quarter 10-Q. The numbers tell a story most people will scroll past. XRP price fell 43% in H1 2026 based on the fund's own fair value marks. That's roughly $1.84. $1.84 to $1.04. You'd expect an ETF to bleed shares in that environment. This one didn't. XRP held 175.6 million to 231.3 million. That's a positive 31.7%. Shares outstanding is up 32%. Fair value, you're from $322.9 million to $241.3 million. That's down, but only because price fell, not redemptions. And the NAV share 19.58, going down to 11.08. Shares outstanding only rise when authorized participants create new baskets, meaning real capital came in to buy, not out to sell. Price down 43%, shares outstanding up 32%. That's accumulation through the drawdown, not exit. And their source is from the SEC Edgar, Canary XRP ETF Forum 10-Q. And look, this is what happens over 4 seconds when you send XRP. At 0 seconds, you sign the transaction broadcast. At 0.5 seconds, you have 120 plus validators around the world receive it. Around 2 seconds, consensus round, 80% of validators agree. 3.8 seconds, ledger closes, and then final. No confirmations, no reorgs, no waiting for 6 blocks. Bitcoin calls it settled after an hour. A wire takes days. The XRPL closes the case in 4 seconds. And it's done this every 3 to 5 seconds since 2012. XRP now has enough ETF products that market makers are running books across all of them. IMC Chicago's latest 13F shows call and put positions spanning Bitwise, Canary, ProShares Ultra, Volatility Shares 2X, and listed funds 2X XRP ETFs. The options market around XRP is quietly maturing fast. Bitwise's 10 crypto index ETF BitW 10-Q shows XRP holdings cut from 26.8 million units to 21.9 million units, down 18.3% in H1 2026. XRP's index weight fell from 4.76% to 4.29% as total net assets dropped from $1.03 billion to $532.8 million. And also notable, Avalanche and Polkadot were dropped from the index, replaced by Hyperliquid and Stellar Lumens. And Bank of Japan insider screams of catastrophic yen unwind after US takeover. Did you know the same Bank of Japan insider Yuto just warned that the forced US takeover of BOJ operations will amplify suffering tenfold and trigger a sovereign debt spiral that vaporizes savings and sends the yen into freefall? While Tokyo and Washington battle for control and the yen teeters near multi-decade lows, Japanese real-world assets are already pouring onto the XRP ledger. SBI's massive XRPL ecosystem is tokenizing prepaid instruments, corporate bonds, equity funds, and even green power certificates. Energy tokens, treasuries, and institutional RWAs on XRPL have exploded past billions in value as traditional rails crack. ETF flows, Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETFs saw net inflows on August 7th, while Solana and XRP were flat. So Bitcoin up over $101 million, Ethereum up $49 million, and Solana XRP 0. XRP is not a currency, therefore is not a candidate to become a world reserve currency. Rather, it is a neutral, stateless digital bridge asset and interoperability protocol designed to facilitate payments, exchange liquidity, settlement, and value transfer between sovereign currencies and tokenized assets. It neither extracts nor diminishes the monetary sovereignty of nations, creates no issuer liability, favors no jurisdiction, and requires no compulsory adoption. Instead, it enables voluntary protocol-governed intermediation across diverse financial systems, allowing each participant to retain full control of its own currency or stablecoin while gaining fast, efficient, safe, and interoperable movement of value. Expressed another way, XRP is a truth algorithmic courier seeking confirming, delivering, ledgering, and then settling value exchange services as perfectly as math, universal protocols, and two mutually consenting parties freely accept without any use of force, deceit, control, centralization, bias, or conflict of interest. No other solution compares. And the XRP Ledger version 3.3.0 is out. This one is big. Why? World's first XRPL privacy amendment is now available, all native on protocol. Batch features, trustless swap, over-the-counter trading for institutions, monetization of app, permission delegation for treasury management, and keep high-value addresses in cold storage, as well as dynamic MPT, sponsor and fixes, also minimum 10 to 15% lower node memory usage, less splashy but amazing optimization. And just looking at the price movement for XRP, we are up 2.19% while recording the video, sitting at a little over $1.04. We did hit a low yesterday at about $1.01. So it got really close to hitting the $1 range. We had a very large amount of volume that took place yesterday. The last time we saw volume like this, we have to go all the way back here to June 29th of this year. And as it is right now, if it continues to climb up, we really need to see it try and break above $1.10, $1.13.5, and it has more opportunity to go up. Of course, keep an eye on $1. If it breaks below $1, drops below $1, I should say, goes down to about 86.5 cents on the Fibonacci retracement zone. And that's what I got for you guys in today's video. I appreciate all of you so much. You guys have a great day. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.